So picture this. Your phone vibrates, right? And instead of, a friendly message, it's that kind of chilling feeling you've been targeted by a scam.
Mm-hmm. Happens all the time.
Yeah, maybe you clicked a link without really thinking, or perhaps an email looked totally legit, but it led you down some digital rabbit hole.
Right. And suddenly the internet, which we rely on for, well, pretty much everything, feels less like this connected world and more like, I don't know, an untamed frontier.
Exactly. The Wild West, maybe. And look, this isn't just hypothetical stuff. It's become a really stark reality for a lot of people in Karnataka. Over the past 4 years, the state has seen, well, an astonishing 52,000 reported cases of cybercrime.
52,000.
Yeah.
That number, it really sticks with you, doesn't it? It's not just some statistic on a page.
No.
It represents, tens of thousands of people, maybe businesses too, whose lives have just been completely disrupted, finances hit, trust totally shaken.
Yeah.
And when you actually break it down, it averages out to about 35 cases every single day for the last 4 years.
35 a day? Wow. Just think about that constant wave of digital threats just washing over the state.
That's relentless.
It really is overwhelming when you think about it. And it's not just like a few isolated incidents spread thin. In Karnataka's big cities, nearly 1 out of every 5 criminal cases reported now has some kind of digital element.
1 in 5. That's huge.
It's massive. It shows this fundamental shift in, well, what crime is these days. So if a big chunk of your law enforcement effort is going towards this digital stuff, what do you do?
Well, Karnataka decided to take a pretty decisive step.
Okay.
Yeah. On April 9th, 2025, just recently, they launched India's first Cyber Command Center.
India's first.
It's the first state-level one, yeah.
Wow.
And this isn't just like a minor upgrade or adding another department. No, this is a dedicated, centralized thing.
Right.
Built specifically to face this this growing digital threat head-on.
Right, like a statement saying, okay, we're taking this seriously.
Exactly. It's a big statement.
It's like realizing the old castle walls aren't cutting it anymore. So you build this, state-of-the-art fortress. And that's really what we want to dig into today in this deep dive, this new Cyber Command Center. What really pushed them to create it? How is it actually set up to work? And I guess ultimately, what does it mean for us, just trying to live our lives online safely?
Okay, yeah, let's start with that why then. 52,000 cases. 4 years.
Yeah,
I mean, it's a staggering figure.
it really is.
And to really get the scope, maybe we should make some of these crimes a bit more real, not just numbers.
Good idea.
Yeah.
Because it's easy to just hear the number, but what does it look like? Think about those scam emails that are getting, well, scarily convincing. The ones maybe targeting older folks.
Oh, yeah. Promising amazing returns.
Yeah.
Or some big prize.
Yeah.
Just pay a small fee first. Classic.
Right. Or those pop-ups. You've won a free iPhone. We know better, but some people still click. But like we were saying, the threats now are, well, they're way more insidious than that, aren't they?
Oh, absolutely. We're seeing a big rise in ransomware attacks, where hackers lock up your computer, your phone, all your files, photos.
Everything.
Yeah, basically holding your digital life hostage until you pay up. Imagine losing all that. And then there's the really creepy stuff like deepfakes.
Yeah.
These AI-generated videos or audio clips, they can mimic real people so convincingly now. Opens up terrifying possibilities for fraud, manipulation, damaging reputations.
It feels like light years away from what we used to think of as cybercrime, doesn't it? It's not just some bored kid in a basement causing trouble anymore.
Not at all. The sophistication level has just shot up dramatically.
Right.
What might have started as, more opportunistic stuff has morphed into highly organized crime, often international syndicates.
Wow.
These aren't just lone wolves. They're well-funded, tech-savvy groups. Think about the rise of those awful digital arrest scams.
Oh, I've read about those.
Yeah, where criminals pose as police or government officials, creating this intense panic to scare victims into sending money fast. The psychological damage, let alone the financial loss, it's immense.
It's really chilling, the level of deception involved. Okay, so this is the backdrop. This really dangerous, evolving digital world. Who's the person they've put in charge of leading this new cyber command? Who's the new sheriff in town, so to speak?
Well, that responsibility falls to Pronab Mohanty. He's been appointed as the Director General, the DG that's the top spot of this new cyber command.
Pronab Mohanty, okay.
And he's not new to this world. He's a 1994 batch Indian Police Service Officer, IPS.
Yeah.
So, he brings a huge amount of experience, understands the structures.
A 94 badge officer?
Wow. So a real veteran.
Yeah.
Decades of experience. And I assume his background is pretty relevant to cyber stuff.
Oh, definitely. Before this, he served in the Internal Security Division, ISD, dealing with state security threats, also the police computer wing.
Okay, makes sense. Yeah, and the Cybercrime and Narcotics Division. So yeah, he spent a lot of his career right in the thick of these kinds of challenges, or very close to them. He gets the complexities.
So it wasn't just picking a senior officer, it was picking someone with the right kind of background. That sounds like a very deliberate choice.
I think so.
Almost like, well, your earlier analogy felt right, like putting Clint Eastwood in charge of a spaceship, bringing serious, specific expertise to a really modern, tricky problem.
That seems to be the idea, yeah. And what exactly will he and the Cyber Command be dealing with? Well, the scope is...
Right.
It's broad, because the threats are so varied.
Right.
We're talking ransomware, which can cripple businesses,
right,
even essential services. Then there's online stalking, so invasive, so personal.
Yeah.
And sextortion, which is just devastating, emotionally and financially.
And just plain old digital fraud, right? That seems to change shape constantly. Credit card scams, fake investment schemes, preying on people's hopes.
Exactly. Plus, like we mentioned, the whole deepfake danger. Huge potential for manipulation there. And then you've got identity theft, your personal info stolen and misused, data breaches affecting millions, and wrapped around all of this is, well, disinformation. The deliberate spread of fake news, which can cause real chaos.
Okay, wow. So DG Mohanty and his team, they have a massive job on their hands, a really comprehensive, demanding mandate.
Absolutely.
So how did Karnataka actually get to this point, establishing such a big, specialized unit? Was it a sudden thing, or did it, build up over time?
No, it was definitely a process, an evolution, really. Karnataka actually has a history of being quite forward-thinking on this. Way back in 2001.
2001.
Yeah, 2001. They set up India's first dedicated cybercrime police station in Bengaluru. Think about the internet back then.
Dial-up, right?
Exactly. Dial-up was still a big thing for many, so it shows they were thinking about this pretty early on, even when the internet was just taking off.
That is quite something. Really ahead of the curve.
It was. And that first step, it kept evolving. In March 2017, that cybercrime police station in Bengaluru became an independent unit. They recognized things were getting more complex, the volume of cases was climbing.
So the groundwork was being laid over years, which means this new Cyber Command isn't being built totally from scratch then. It's kind of leveraging what was already there.
Yeah.
Expanding on it.
Precisely. That's a much better way to put it. It's a strategic integration and a major expansion. They're taking the 43 existing CEN police stations.
It's EE.
Yeah, that stands for Cyber, Economic, and Narcotics Offenses. Those stations are spread across Karnataka. Now, they're basically being integrated under this central cyber command. Think of them as specialized cybercrime outposts now.
Ah, okay. So units that were already running with staff and buildings are now just part of this bigger, coordinated structure focused purely on digital threats.
Right.
Sounds more efficient.
That's the goal. And it goes even further. The command also pulls in specialized units that used to report directly to the DGP, or the CID, the Criminal Investigation Department.
Which handles the really complex cases, right?
Exactly. And even units from the Bengaluru City Police Commissionerate. So when you put it all together, you're consolidating this significant force. Roughly 45 specialized units, all now operating under one roof, strategically speaking.
45 units. Okay, that's a serious concentration of resources and expertise. It really paints a picture of a very concerted effort. And where's the nerve center? Where's the HQ for all this?
The main hub, the Cyber Command headquarters, is set up within the existing CID building on Palace Road in Bengaluru.
Sensible. Secure location.
Yeah, makes sense for such a critical function.
And the chain of command, who's ultimately calling the shots?
The ultimate authority lies with the Director General of Police, or the additional Director General of Police of the Cybercrimes Prevention Unit. That specific role, that person, has a full authority to direct operations, assign resources, set the strategy for the whole state.
Okay, so a clear, centralized command structure, designed for quick action, I guess.
Hopefully, yeah.
So, thinking about their actual approach, the focus isn't just on reacting after something bad happens, right? You mentioned prevention earlier. How does that proactive part work?
Absolutely, yeah. The whole strategy is designed to be reactive when needed, obviously, but also, crucially, proactive.
Okay.
This means things like actively monitoring the digital landscape, looking for emerging threats, spotting vulnerabilities before they get exploited, trying to get ahead of the curve.
And how do they do that monitoring across the whole state?
Well, that coordination between the Central Command in Bengaluru and that network of 45 cybercrime stations across the state is key. They're essentially creating this statewide network for, like, digital surveillance and early warnings.
Right, a sort of digital neighborhood watch, but way more advanced. So it's a multi-pronged approach then. Defense, offense. What are the main buckets of responsibility for the command?
It's pretty comprehensive. First, obviously, is cybersecurity itself, protecting the state's own critical digital systems from attack.
Makes sense. Government systems,
Yeah.
infrastructure.
Exactly. Second, and this is really vital, is public outreach and education, giving people the knowledge and tools they need to protect themselves.
Yeah, empowering the public.
And thirdly, tackling that growing problem of disinformation. The fake news, the manipulation online, which can cause real harm.
So it's not just about catching the bad guys after the fact, but also building a more digitally savvy and resilient population. That makes a lot of sense. Education is a first line of defense.
Precisely. And the specific threats they're really zeroing in on are the big ones we've talked about, the ones causing the most damage right now.
Yeah.
Ransomware, stalking, all kinds of digital fraud, identity theft, and data breaches. Those are the prime targets for their prevention and investigation work.
This whole initiative in Karnataka, it sounds like a really significant development, not just for the state, but maybe for the whole country. Could this be a model for other states?
That's a really pertinent question. I mean, when you look at cybercrime nationally, globally, the scale is just mind-boggling.
Yeah.
The World Economic Forum estimated, $6 trillion in annual global costs from cybercrime.
6 trillion. Wow. That puts the financial side into perspective.
It really does.
Yeah.
And like we know, cybercrime doesn't respect borders, does it?
Not at all.
Unfortunately, we've even seen certain areas within India become known as hubs for this stuff, right? Which just shows that it's a nationwide challenge.
True.
So, given all that, Karnataka's Cyber Command, being the first dedicated state-level setup like this in India, it absolutely has the potential to be a blueprint. Other states facing similar issues from rapid digitalization will definitely be watching.
So other states might be looking closely, seeing what works, what doesn't, maybe adopting similar strategies.
I would think so. And it's especially critical for Karnataka to protect Bengaluru, right? India's tech capital. The financial losses there alone are staggering. I saw a figure in just the first 8 months of 2024, residents lost 12,242.7 crore.
Over 1,200 crore rupees in just 8 months.
Yeah, it just hammers home the urgency, the high stakes involved in protecting that digital hub and the people living there.
That's an incredible amount of money. It shows the motivation for the criminals and just how much harm is being done. Okay, so the launch was April 9th, 2025. What happens now? What's the road ahead for this Cyber Command?
Well, the launch is really just step one, isn't it? It's the beginning of an ongoing process. Because cyber threats, they're incredibly dynamic. They change constantly.
Right.
The attacks we see today might look totally different next year or even next month. So the command center has to be super adaptable, agile in its strategies, its tech, its training.
Continuous learning, basically, staying ahead of the game or at least trying to keep pace.
Absolutely essential for long-term success. And there's the ongoing need for specialized training, equipping all the people in those 45 cybercrime stations.
Keeping their skills sharp.
Yeah. Exactly. Keeping them updated on the latest threats, the best investigation techniques, prevention methods. That means sustained investment in people and tech.
And I guess that public awareness piece, the education part we talked about, that's got to be a continuous effort too, right? Not just a one-off campaign.
Totally. Empowering citizens. That's fundamental to the whole strategy long term. Educating people on basic online safety, how to spot scams, what the red flags look like, and importantly, what to do, how to report it if they do get hit.
Yeah, creating that digitally informed population, it's crucial.
It really is. It's got to be a partnership, Can't just be law enforcement handling everything.
Okay, so let's try and wrap up this deep dive. What are the main things we should all take away from Karnataka's new Cyber Command Center?
Well, I think the biggest takeaway is that Karnataka has taken a really bold and frankly necessary step, launching India's first dedicated state cyber command center. It's a direct response to this huge escalating cybercrime problem they're facing.
Yeah, that 52,000 cases number really tells the story. The urgency was clearly there for a more coordinated, more proactive approach to fight back against all these different digital threats.
Exactly. It's recognizing how crime itself has changed in our digital world. And it's a significant investment in trying to protect people's security, but also the state's critical digital infrastructure.
Right. And this initiative, led by someone experienced like DG Mohanty, pulling together all those existing units under one central command, it definitely feels like a decisive move towards hopefully a safer digital space there.
It is. But, and this is maybe the other key point, it's crucial to remember this is an ongoing battle. It's not problem solved. Cybercrime keeps evolving. So this
Right.
command center, the state, everyone, needs constant adaptation, ongoing investment, and really the active help of an informed public.
It definitely makes you think, doesn't it, about your own digital habits, how vigilant you are online. This command center is a huge step for sure, but ultimately our own awareness, our own caution. And that's still a critical layer of defense, isn't it?
It absolutely is. And maybe the real question to leave people with after listening to this is, how might this move in Karnataka signal a bigger shift in how we approach digital security nationally? And, thinking on it personally, what role do each of us actually play in building a safer online world for everyone?